everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of TVG Talk. My name is Paco Treviño and today, as always, I'm joined by Laura Chapa.
Hey guys.
And today we'll be talking about the second coming, so to speak, of Capcom. As some of you may know, they've been on a roll lately with some of their latest games. And we'll be talking about them and maybe talking about what would we like to see coming forward. So, Laura, why don't we start with you? What was your first experience in this new generation of Capcom video games?
I think that when I first noticed it, and maybe everyone else did, was when they released Monster Hunter World. I don't know, when I was looking at the trailers and gameplay and everything that was coming out of Monster Hunter World, I didn't really think much of it. I just thought this is the next generation of Monster Hunter in the new consoles, and there's not gonna be much about that. But a friend, Carlos, that has been on the channel, convinced me of playing it with him, and I really like that game. It has really cool elements of cooperations with your team and hunting down different monsters and doing different techniques to lure them out or to weaken them, maybe put them to sleep. All these different weapons you could use. I am a big fan of fighting games, and some weapons were really like combo based, so I related a lot to that. You made a move and you cancel the attack, and you do different succession of moves. And Capcom being known for their fighting games, it's no surprise to me, but it was a real cool element that I would have never thought that they could add to Monster Hunter. So yeah, that's when I first saw that, hey, Capcom is doing good things again. And I mean, it showed. The game sold incredibly well, and it was praised by lots of people when they released it. I think it was probably my favorite game that year.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you guys, that game came out like a couple months before I got my PS4. So you guys played that without me, so to speak. I mean, it was my fault. But I mean, I've been a Monster Hunter fan for a long time now. I've been playing those games ever since the 3DS.
Right.
And yeah, I absolutely love them. And it's interesting because I wouldn't say that, unlike some of the examples that we were talking about, Monster Hunter was a very healthy franchise when World came out.
Right.
But from being a very successful franchise, became like this behemoth. Mm-hmm. Monster Hunter World was everywhere for months.
Yeah.
And I think that Capcom did a really good choice or a really good call with the schedule of the game, with the streamlining, a lot of things that they did, I think, were good calls. And yeah, absolutely, Monster Hunter World, fantastic game.
Yeah.
So, I would like to join the conversation, so to speak, with a game series that perhaps is another example of games that have been doing very well in terms of quality, and that's the Ace Attorney series.
All right.
I wouldn't be able to pinpoint which one game, so to speak, include here, but I feel like Dual Destinies would be a good place to put it. It came out in 2013 for the 3DS. Mm-hmm. It's a remarkable game, and I feel like it's very forward with the series. The original trilogy, as the fans know, the main character is Phoenix Wright, but the fourth game was Apollo Justice, another attorney altogether.
Yeah. And
in Dual Destinies, they brought them together. Then there's this new female attorney called Athena, and those guys have this very interesting mechanic where you have mechanic from all past games come back. Right. And it's really fun. The story is very interesting because it tries to be serious, but then it drops the seriousness altogether, and this typical goofball, quirky atmosphere that the Ace Attorney games have. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, Dual Destinies is definitely like the new generation of Ace Attorney, but then you also have Spirit of Justice that came out like 2 years ago. also for the 3DS, and I think that game was amazing as well. I remember that I like blazed through it. I bought it, and it didn't even last me like 3 days. I remember I was so obsessed with that game when it came out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's super fun. And it was really fun to also see a long time fan favorite Maya Fey. She had been missing ever since 3, I think. So like almost a decade of absence, and she came back. So yeah, it was really, really fun. And what other game have you seen on this second coming of Capcom?
Right. Well, recently on Mega Man 11, I played only the demo of that game, just because I haven't played. I think 7 through 10, or 7 through 10. I think I haven't played, and I don't like to skip games on series, so I haven't played 11 through. But what I played of the demo, it was fantastic. I mean, Mega Man is another series that maybe the main series was not so dead, so to speak, because 10 was good, but it had been some time definitely since Mega Man was in the spotlight, and people were really excited for a new Mega Man game. So when it came out, I think people really liked it. I think it had creative robot masters, and I think that you played it all the way through, so why don't you tell us more about that?
Right, so yeah, I mean, Mega Man never dropped in quality, maybe 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, 9 and 10 were fantastic. The problem is that Mega Man 10 came out like 8 years before 11.
Yeah.
And a ton of Mega Man games were cancelled in the meantime. Like a ton. Capcom was unbelievable.
Right.
They had this Mega Man Maker idea. It was Mega Man Universe, I think. I forget if that was the MMO or if that was the Maker game. But man, Mega Man was very mistreated by Capcom for a while there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mega Man 11 is remarkable. Is one of my favorite games last year, and it's
nice.
2D platformer. So
yeah,
the fact that game can stand, to the cream of the crop, so to speak, it's quite something. And yeah, I mean the music is fantastic. The animations. I played it on the Switch, which is admittedly the least visually pleasing one, because it it doesn't have anti-aliasing. So yeah, it's perhaps the worst looking one, but it looks amazing, especially on the Switch. The handheld, it looks really, really good. It plays like butter. I don't know. It's so smooth. It's so responsive. I love that game. I really can't recommend it enough. And it also played a little bit with the lore of Mega Man, where there's a new backstory where Wily was rejected by the scientist community, and it was because of Dr. Light, and there's this new layer of, now you feel a little bit bad for Wily because he's now like a misunderstood genius, so to speak.
Right.
But yeah, Mega Man 11 is a great game. And on the topic of Mega Man 11, a new revival in this second coming may very well be Mega Man X, given there's a lot of rumors about that, and I think that there's something there.
Yeah, the collections have been recently ported to Switch, and X has been a popular character, and that series would be great if they revived it too.
Yeah, I mean, unlike Mega Man, the original Mega Man, X has had a rockier path.
Yeah.
But the beginning was amazing. Like the first 3 or 4 games were really good, and then the last one was also good. So I'm hoping that they find a nice middle ground where they get to give you the greatest hits, so to speak, of Mega Man X stuff with Zero and everything.
Right.
But yeah, we shall see. I mean, the possibility is definitely there. The potential is there. Let's hope that they use it. Another game that I would say is part of this revival, so to speak,
Yeah.
is Resident Evil. And just like the Ace Attorney series, I'm not exactly sure where to pinpoint the revival, because the newer example is a remake of Resident Evil 2. But let's not forget, Resident Evil 7 is like a pillar for Capcom right now, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe if you're talking about classic Resident Evil, you could maybe say that Resident Evil 2 was it, because Resident Evil 7, although it evoked some feelings of original Resident Evil, while also making lots of new things, I think that it's safe to say that Resident Evil 2 was the more recognizable one, or the more recognizable style to Resident Evil. But yeah, I mean, making a game like 7 and being so different from 6, and going then to that drastic spin from 7, I will also say that it's a great achievement from them.
Yes, I think that Resident Evil with 7, that they found Resident Evil again. Like 6, I've seen some people now talking about how it's like watching a Fast of the Furious movie. Like, it's this high action, ridiculous flick, and I get that. There's some appeal to that, but frankly, that's not what I was or what I would personally hope from Resident Evil. 7 is exactly what I wish they would do after 6.
Yeah.
Like, let's go back to basics. You have a couple weapons, sure. There's not that many monsters or stuff that you're going to kill. There's just a handful throughout the game. But let's make it super atmospheric. Let's make it super scary. I mean, it's still one of the best games for VR. I've never played it on VR, but the game is amazing, and you can play it all the way through in VR. So that's also something like almost adventurous from Capcom. Especially,
Yeah,
like, I
definitely.
don't know how long that came out, like 4 years ago? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that now people, after Resident Evil 2 remake, that people seem to be loving, now they're waiting for a Resident Evil 3 remake.
Yeah, there's some talks, like, it's funny because I feel the fans are kind of mixed on 3, and I'm interested, like, I find it curious that now that there's the rumor, like, everyone's very excited, like, oh yes, 3, it's Nemesis, it's awesome. And I'm like, hey, you guys, like, 2 years ago, you were crapping on this game. Do you remember that? Like, there's something almost funny or, I don't know, interesting about that. But on the flip side, if it's such a flawed game, it's a perfect candidate to be remastered or remade, actually. Remade, not remastered. So yeah, and Resident Evil is a great example. And, I would like to also mention the fixing that they've made to Street Fighter V. Because that game, when it released, it was very, very poorly received, to be frank. And, as the years have gone by and they've added stuff, they've balanced it, they've improved it, and I feel like it now is a much more enjoyable game than it was when it launched all those years ago. But I mean, you're the fighting game expert, so maybe you could paint the picture a little better.
Right. I mean, I still wouldn't say that I maybe sort of like the core gaming more than I liked it when it released, but it's a much better experience now. They update it almost weekly with the different missions you can do to earn fight money, and the online system works fine. They've added these dojo systems where you can challenge other people's dojos and win their stuff. I think that they must be in the brink of releasing the 4th season now of DLC with characters that people really like, because I think that the first seasons were characters that were not that much different from what we're used to in Street Fighter, but the more recent characters have been added, adding new stuff that that they really haven't done before in Street Fighter, and I think that that's really important, to innovate with these characters, not just release them to release more characters, sort of how Smash does it, And yeah, I think that it's a much better experience and a much better buy now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I like when the game came out, because I've been a Street Fighter fan forever now. But when that game came out, I was like, what are they thinking? Like, it had no... I think that it didn't have an arcade mode. It didn't have a local versus, I think, or...
No, I think that it had that.
That's probably the only thing that it actually had, actually.
Yeah, it actually
I mean, it was missing something. I don't remember, like, something about the local stuff. Like, that there was something weird about it. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, I saw it and I was like, this is not worth my time or money.
Right.
But
it was kind of like a free-to-play game, but it was priced at $60,
Yeah,
that was the weirdest thing.
That was crazy, man. But then last year, I jumped in with the arcade edition.
Right.
And I've been having a blast, and I even bought the later season, the one that came out after arcade.
Yeah, season 3.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been having a great time. It's a really good game now. Like you said, like the mechanics are still iffy here and there, but I feel that the game is at a much better place now in both terms of content and the way that the game treats you as a player, so to speak. I think that it's... I'm sorry?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that haven't seen what they've done with other franchises and other games. I think that what I'm most excited about is seeing what they will do to Street Fighter 6.
Right, because it's a new director, right? The one that's doing the upcoming one.
Yeah, right.
It's actually the guy that has been reviving all these games, like the guy from Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a really cool vision. Honestly, like it's really good. And we haven't got into Devil May Cry, but I've heard that game is amazing as well.
Right. I mean, the last game from that series was DMC, and that game just went in a totally different direction. Like, I felt like they didn't know what made Devil May Cry good. And, with Devil May Cry 5, they return to the roots. It seems extremely fun to play. It has all these different weapons and different characters you can play. Crazy, out of this world story with demons and whatnot. And people seem to be loving this game too.
Yeah, they totally are. I should definitely check it out later on. So I guess that's it for this particular discussion. Guys, please do let us know what Capcom games have you been enjoying lately. There's probably some that we've been missing. Maybe a few people out there have been enjoying Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, all three of us. So why don't you let us know that in the comments below? We'll definitely be checking the comments. This has been Paco Trevino, and as always, I've been joined by Lauro Chapa.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Until next time, bye guys.